Imagine waking up to discover that everything you planned for your retirement, every budget, every countdown, every dream of finally taking it easy, suddenly changes overnight. The finish line just moved further away and no one told you why. That's exactly what many older Australians are feeling right now, as shocking rumors about a higher retirement age sweep across the country. Social media is on fire with claims that the government is secretly considering raising the retirement age again, possibly to 68 or even 70. For millions of hardworking Australians who have already spent decades building their lives around the age pension, this rumor feels like an earthquake, shaking the very foundation of their future. The whispers started quietly a few weeks ago. Posts began circulating saying, retirement age up again, Canberra changing pension rules, and new laws to delay pension access. At first, many brushed it off as just another social media scare. But then, the discussion started spreading on radio shows, financial blogs, and even political forums. And now, older Australians everywhere are asking one question. Is it true? Could the government actually raise the retirement age again after promising that 67 would be the final limit? To understand why this story exploded, we have to look at what's really happening in the background. Australia is aging faster than ever before. More than 4.2 million Australians are now over the age of 65, and that number is expected to double by 2050. At the same time, life expectancy continues to rise, which means more people are drawing pensions for longer periods. Treasury reports warn that age pension spending could blow past $70 billion annually within the next decade if nothing changes. For policymakers, that's a huge red flag. For seniors, it's a terrifying thought because whenever budgets get tight, the first word that appears on government whiteboards is reform. Right now, there is no official confirmation of any new law. The retirement age is still set at 67 for everyone born after January 1st, 1957, but behind the scenes, conversations are definitely happening. Economic think tanks like the Grattan Institute have already published papers suggesting that raising the retirement age might be inevitable to ensure long-term sustainability. The Treasury's own intergenerational report also hinted that the aging population is putting unprecedented strain on social support systems. That kind of language doesn't appear out of nowhere. It signals that something is being discussed. And that's where the panic began. Because for many older Australians, even the idea of waiting longer feels unbearable. They've already lived through one increase from 65 to 67 over the past decade. That transition was gradual, but it hit people hard. Now, the thought of pushing it to 68 or 70 has reignited deep frustration. "We've already done our part," one retired nurse told a reporter. "They told us 67 was the finish line. Now they're moving the goalposts again." This time, though, the situation feels even more tense. The cost of living crisis has left many pensioners struggling just to get by. Electricity bills, rent, groceries, everything has skyrocketed, while the pension increase barely covers the essentials. The current age pension sits around $116 per fortnight for singles, which adds up to roughly $29,000 a year. That may sound like a decent sum, but when you factor in inflation and rising healthcare costs, it's getting harder and harder to live comfortably. Now imagine being told you might have to wait another year or two before even qualifying for that payment. For those in physically demanding jobs like construction, nursing, or transportation, that's not just inconvenient, it's cruel. Many simply won't have the health or energy to keep working that long. Advocacy groups like CODA Australia are already warning that any future rise in the retirement age would unfairly punish blue-collar workers, while white-collar professionals could easily adjust. "Longevity isn't equal," one CODA spokesperson said. "The average office worker might live to 85, but the average laborer won't. Policy needs to reflect that." The government hasn't said anything definitive yet, but the silence itself is causing anxiety. Every day that passes without clarification adds fuel to the fire. That's why financial experts are urging Australians to stay calm but proactive. The worst thing anyone can do right now is make financial decisions based on fear. Instead, it's time to get prepared. Start by verifying your information. Don't rely on viral Facebook posts or WhatsApp forwards. The only trusted sources are official government websites like Services Australia or the Department of Social Services. Second, check your superannuation strategy. If the pension age does rise again, you'll need your super to bridge the gap until you qualify. Review your balance, contribution rate, and projected income. Even small adjustments today, like increasing voluntary contributions or reviewing your investment options, can make a huge difference in future comfort. And third, talk to a professional. Many Australians wait until retirement is just around the corner to seek financial advice, but by then, most options are limited. A financial planner can help you structure your assets, minimize tax, and secure stable income even if the pension rules change again. Visually, imagine a ticking clock overlaid with the words, "Be ready before they decide for you." Because that's exactly what this situation is about, staying one step ahead. The truth is, these rumors might be false right now, but the warning behind them is real. Australia's pension system is under pressure, and history shows that governments rarely ignore that pressure for long. The last time pension reform was proposed, it took 4 years of heated debate before the plan was abandoned. So if talks start again now, changes could appear in the late 2020s or early 2030s. That might sound far away, but so did 2025 10 years ago. Another angle often overlooked is the emotional one. Retirement isn't just about money. It's about dignity, identity, and rest after a lifetime of contribution. For many Australians, the idea of working until 68 or 70 feels like losing that promise of peace. One 66-year-old construction worker said, "I've been lifting heavy beams for 40 years. My back's done. If they tell me to work 3 more years, I don't think I'll make it." Comments like that show how deep the frustration runs. And yet, some see a silver lining. Financial educators say that this panic might actually help wake people up to the importance of planning early. Younger Australians in their 30s and 40s are now paying closer attention to their super accounts, making extra contributions, and learning how to diversify investments. In a strange way, this rumor could be sparking a new wave of financial literacy. Still, the uncertainty remains. The current federal government insists it's focused on helping retirees, not burdening them. But even that reassurance doesn't silence the speculation. The Treasury's intergenerational report is due to be updated next year, and that's where policy analysts believe we might see the first clues of what's coming. If the report highlights budget strains or calls for reform of pension sustainability, that could reignite the entire debate officially. And once it enters public conversation again, history shows that it rarely disappears quickly. That's why experts advise Australians to pay attention to 3 key updates in the coming year: the Treasury report, the 2026 federal budget, and any announcements from Services Australia regarding eligibility or payment structures. Those are the indicators that tell you whether rumors are turning into reality. Meanwhile, advocacy groups are mobilizing. Petitions are already circulating online demanding that the government protect the current retirement age. Some call for fairer taxation of high-income retirees instead of raising the age again. Others are pushing for better cost of living adjustments to make existing pensions more livable. The message is clear. Australians are willing to discuss reform, but not at the expense of those who have already given a lifetime of work. Now picture the emotional side again. On one hand, you see an older couple sitting by the beach, finally enjoying their golden years. On the other, a 68-year-old warehouse worker struggling through another shift because the pension age hasn't been reached yet. That image alone explains why this issue is so explosive. It's not just about economics, it's about fairness, equality, and humanity. The coming months will decide how this plays out. The government may issue clarifications to calm the panic, or it may quietly continue its reviews. But one thing is certain, this conversation isn't going away. The retirement age rumor has tapped into a deep national fear that the promise of rest after decades of work could be slipping away. As the story evolves, Australians need to stay alert but not alarmed. Keep watching trusted sources, double-check your finances, and prepare for multiple outcomes. Change in government policy always comes slowly, but it comes surely. And when it does, those who are informed and ready will face it with confidence instead of panic. In the end, this isn't just a story about pension policy, it's a story about preparation, awareness, and control. You can't stop governments from debating reforms, but you can take charge of your future. because no matter what happens in Canberra, your best defense is information. The camera fades to an image of an older couple walking along Bondi Beach at sunset. The text appears softly on screen. Stay informed, stay prepared, your retirement deserves clarity. The voiceover closes with calm authority. In times of uncertainty, don't rely on rumors, rely on truth. Subscribe now for verified updates and make sure you're never caught off guard by the next pension shock.